Congratulations, Richland Fire Department, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35070. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with whose fire equipment and Pierce manufacturer. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the passenger and driver side upper face, you'll find dual airlines. Moving just inside that location on the passenger side, you'll find an electronic siren and PA speaker. Directly in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. As you move up onto the tab on the outer edges, you'll find your clearance turn marker indicator.
The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training.
And then
individual
also
fire
emergency
departments
warning
may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices.
Windshield wipers across the seamless
Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment.
Moving all the way up to the roof area is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's take a look at the full side of the vehicle, and then we'll focus in on the cab area. Let's first start with the front axle, where you'll find Michelin tires, Alcoa wheels, and also a sight gauge located for your front axle. As we move to the A-pillar, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Moving up to the door handles, you'll find easily accessible by use of a gloved hand, and they are also a keyed lock. As we move just to the rear of the door area, you'll find grab handles at all points of entry. Directly over the front axle, you'll find your auto-eject shoreline inlet. Moving directly above this location, you'll find a side-facing scene light. And then as we move all the way to the rear wall of the cab, you'll find your LED water tank level indicator. Let's take a look at some close-ups. We'll first start with the axle, sight gauge located in the center, Alcoa wheels, and also Michelin tires. Let's move now to the pump panel area. Just a general view of your pump house, and as we move around to the rear of the apparatus, general view, and then we'll move around to the passenger side, full view, and then the cab of the vehicle, same configuration as the driver's side. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab on the driver's area. First, I'd like to point out, affixed to the door panel, you'll find all of our safety and warning information. You'll also find a grab handle, electric windows, and also a keyed lock. As we move to the stepwell area, you'll find your air inlet. Moving to the seat area, just beneath the pedestal is where you'll find, when plugged into shore power, your battery charging system will become active. We also have comfort controls for your seat. And I'd like to focus now down to about the right ankle of the operator to the yellow placard on the vertical wall. This is your manufactured for your department, City of Richland. It has the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, components for each fluid capacity and fluid type. Let's move to about the left knee of the operator. We'll start down at the very bottom with a set of switches. We'll go over those first. Starting down on the left, you'll find your ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen, and engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. As we move up from this location, you'll find the master battery switch. To the right, we're going to find diagnostic information. This is your tech module. To the right, you'll find your engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port, and also a display port down in the lower portion. As we move up from this location, we'll find a rumbler, and then further to the right, you'll find your inverter. There is a switch for on and off, and it will also display a digital readout. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, it's where you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions on the placard from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. Remember, you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, before exiting the cab for pump operations. Let's take a look at the dash area. First, on the left side, you'll find the ignition and start switch. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM. This is Emergency Master. It engages or disengages all emergency lights by one button. Moving just to the right, you'll find your headlight switch, and then a switch labeled Panel, which allows you to brighten or dim any of the lights within preview of the operator. To the right, you'll find the OK to engage the high idle switch and OK to engage high idle indicator. As we move to the gauges, you'll find transmission oil, DEF level, and water temp on the left. On the right, you'll find volts, fuel level, front and rear air, tachometer and speedometer are located directly in the center. Diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the operator's position to the dash area, where you'll find at the very center your Pierce command zone. A tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. See the owner's manual for more information. You'll also find windshield wiper control, push for fluid. You'll find a switch bank. We'll go over that switch bank in just a moment. Your yellow diamond pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. As we move to the left side, you'll see the green indicator. That is your OK to engage the high idle indicator. Moving just to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout and also an informational note to pump in drive. As we move to the very front section of the dash, you'll find your heat defrost and also air conditioning. Close up here of the Pierce command zone and also windshield wiper control. Back to those switches, we have a mechanical siren switch, siren brake, engine brake on and off, a setting switch for the engine brake for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, and then mirror heat. Let's move downward on the dash area, where you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Once again, a digital readout, informational note to pump and drive, and then your heating and air conditioning. Also a reminder to disengage the retarder when on wet surfaces. As we move to the left, you'll find at the very top section of the operator this yellow placard indicating the height of your vehicle, 10 feet 2.5 inches, length 32 feet, and a gross vehicle weight rating, 45,000 pounds. As we move to the right, you'll find Emergency Master, Load Manager, the activation for your tire chains, air horn, driver's side scene, and passenger side scene. Moving further to the right, you'll find your siren and PA speaker system. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Bluetooth, Sirius XM, CD player, and weather band radio. And then further to the right, more toward the center, you'll find your unit radio. Directly in the center, you'll find this red light indicating if flashing, do not move your apparatus. You have a compartment or door or ladder rack down. As we move directly behind the seat of the operator, you'll find an outlet, which is when plugged into shore power, this will become active, which maintains your batteries via the battery charging system. You'll also find there is a bus panel located here for 12 volt. As we move to the exterior now, this is on the driver's side. This is the 20 amp shoreline inlet. It is an auto eject plug. As we move around to the rear of the apparatus, just a reminder, we do have all of our safety and warning information affixed to the door panel. As we move inside the cab area, we'll find a fold down seat on the rear wall, SCBA storage, and also an EMS compartment, roll up door. As we move to the forward section, you'll find this lift and turn latch, which will gain access to the rear portion of the engine, allowing you to do your daily checks for oil and transmission. Quick view of the rear section. Once again, at the very top section of the compartment is where you'll find also an outlet. We've got a close-up of that. And then also to the very far, the red and black module. This is your lockbox for NOx. Adjustable shelving inside and LED lighting. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upper section here. Inside the compartment, there is a 12 volt plug. And then also as we move down, or I should say upward, you'll find your NOx box, and then also shoreline power and inverter power will control that light strip. General view, your pump panel will start on the left. This is your rear inlet, open and close. As we move to the right, this is the main inlet. Further to the right to the red area or red module, this is your Husky 3 foam system module. There's also instructions for the system and then also a foam level tank A level indicator. As we move to the gray area, you'll find your master intake gauge. Further to the right in the same gray area, you'll find your master discharge. These are your two primary gauges. In between the two of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. Just beneath that, you will find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to increase or dampen the sound. Moving further to the right, you'll find your pump primer engaged. It's a yellow indicator indicating your pump primer has been engaged, and then also a pump primer master switch. To the top, you'll find an engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. Moving further down, you'll find the hail primer. And then moving further to the right in the gray module, you'll find switch panel and then also an indicator, OK to pump. It will be a green indicator indicating that you are completed all cab operations. As we move to the right, you'll find your left scene main inlet. Once again, a electric valve. Your minimum operation maintenance schedule, we'll go over that. And then also a warning, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after they've received proper training. As we move down to the valve area, you'll find the right side auxiliary inlet, that is the 2.5 inch. You'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Also a placard regarding the Husky 3 foam system specifications. I would like to point out you'll find the red indicators on the valves indicating that those are foam capable. To the left, you'll find your throttle pressure governor. To the right, you'll find your tank to pump, and then also tank fill and recirculating line. You'll find all of our discharges, once again, color-coded and labeled, pointing out the water/red label indicating that the foam is capable on that discharge. Moving to the right, you'll find your left side auxiliary inlet. That is the 2.5 inch. As we move to the crosslay area, you'll find at the very top section an 1.5 inch swivel discharge. I would like to point out there's a warning label here regarding fall. When climbing on the vehicle, make sure you face the vehicle. On the lower section, you'll find an 1.5 inch swivel discharge in the upper portion. In the walkthrough area, you'll find storage locations as the step area. They do latch. And as we move to the pump panel, I've got a couple warning labels I'll need to go over. First, when climbing on the vehicle, make sure you face it. Entanglement hazard, because of those hoses coming from aloft, there's the possibility of entanglement. And then to the right, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pan door here. Double pan door gains access behind the pump panel for service. As we move down to the discharges, you'll find two discharges on this side. They are two 2.5 inch discharges. This is the driver's side. You'll also find this warning label regarding pressure hazard. And then as we move to the indication labeled override, because this is an electric valve, there is a requirement for an override. As we move just beneath the 2.5, you'll find a direct tank fill. You'll also find a pan door with a lift and turn latch. We'll go over the contents behind it. Just to the right of that location, we have a 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet. That's a female coupling. And then to the right, you'll find your foam operations. Large diameter pump inlet. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning label. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. And then you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains for this side of the vehicle. You'll also find the red placard, which is your placard from Watrous, indicating the type of pump that you have, your minimum operation maintenance schedule, master pump drain, and then at the very bottom, your manual pump shift. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, starting in the pan door, you'll find your foam drain. You'll also find the fill operation lever, which is the yellow lever for either normal operations or for your fill position. As we move to the right, you'll find your left side auxiliary inlet. You'll also find at the very top the red placard Watrous indicator, the type of pump that you have. As we move underneath the side running board, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and also foam pump intake drain, and then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move to the watcher's placard, your capacity is 1,500 GPM. The minimum operation maintenance schedule for 100, 150, and 200 PSI. On the left, you'll find the associated test GPM pressure, and on the right, you'll find the associated RPM test pressure. In the very top section, upper left, you'll find your 5-digit job number. Let's go ahead and move through the rest of the compartments here. First, starting in the very first compartment past the pump panel is where you'll find your inverter, and then also a pull-out tilt-down tray. As we move to the upper left-hand corner, this is an 1800-watt inverter. This is the tray in the tilt outward position. We'll move to the next compartments back. Starting first with, there are 4 SCBA bottle storage locations here with retaining straps. Also, the ultra low sulfur diesel is your silver cap. As you move the flap downward, it will expose the blue cap, which is your DEF tank. We'll continue to move to the rear compartment now, where you'll start in the upper left-hand corner in this compartment. We have an outlet. This is shore power and also inverted power. As we move to the very bottom, you'll find a pull-out tray. The release mechanism is on the lower right. Once again, shoreline and inverter outlet. And then this is the tray in the full outright position. It will lock into position, requiring you to push the release to restore it to its original position. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, we'll start at the top with an emergency warning light, brake light, turn, and a reverse light. You'll also find 3 fold-down steps for gaining access to go aloft to the vehicle. In the very center, you'll find your backup camera, and then to the very far right, you'll find your rear inlet. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups. We'll first start with the switches on the left-hand side for rear scene lights and also hose bed lights. As we move to the center section, there is a pull-out tray in the very lower portion. You can see it now in its extended position. Then as we move back up to the top, just above this compartment, you'll find a few warning labels here. Entanglement hazard because of those lines coming from aloft. Also fall, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. If you are climbing on the vehicle, this warning is indicating to face the vehicle. And then as we move all the way to the far right, we do have a pressure hazard warning label. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening those caps. Let's move around to the side of the vehicle. These are the compartment doors in the open position. We'll start at the very rear compartment. First, starting at the lower section, you'll find your inlet drain for the rear down at the very bottom section. You'll also find adjustable shelving and LED lighting. Also on the passenger and driver side, you'll find a location for your winch application. As we move inside the compartment, you'll find shoreline and inverted power. This is the rear inlet air bleed. And then to the right, you'll find your winch capable position for a 9,000-pound pull. As we move directly in front of and rear of the axle, you'll find additional SCBA bottle storage locations for 6 bottles with retaining straps. D-handle on the tool board will gain you access to the backside. Once that tool board has been opened and locked in an outright position, there is a release mechanism on the hinge side. As we move to the next compartment forward, you'll find an additional outlet in the upper corner. This is once again shore power and also inverter. As we move to the very bottom section of the compartment, I would like to point out this warning label: extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. Let's move forward now to the midship location. At the very top section, you'll find a reel location. And then we'll move downward on the pump panel, first starting with some additional warning labels. Once again, face the vehicle while climbing on it. We also have a lift and turn latch. We'll gain access to the pan door for gaining access for service. We have a reel rewind switch. This gray module is your powered equipment rack for your ladders. We'll go over that in a few moments. Pressure warning hazard. And then also your lift for your cab. There are specific instructions to raise the cab and to lower the cab. It is a protected switch with an activate. Be cautious that all items are secure within the cab before operation. As we move down, you'll find an entanglement hazard. This is your equipment rack. Once again, instructions to raise and to lower. You'll also find a danger placard located on this because of the moving equipment rack. You have a master switch which will gain power to the device, and then either an up or down position on the lift. Let's move inside the pan door where you'll find your hydraulic reservoir. This is for your equipment rack. And then we'll move back out to the pump panel now. Identify the lower portion of the pump panel with 2 discharges. These are both 2.5. You can see they're labeled and color-coded. As we move down from this location, we'll identify your auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet along with drain valves next to them. As we move just under the side plate, you'll find your rear inlet drain and then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab now, rear section of the cab. You'll find affixed to the door panel hinge area red grab handles for gaining access. Also affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information. As we move inside the area, you'll find a rear-facing SCBA bottle seat located on the passenger side. You'll also find a fold-down seat located on the passenger side. Your headset system is aloft. And as we move to the very top section, you'll find push on and off red or white lenses. Moving now to the front officer space, once again affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information. Electric windows, grab handle, and also latch mechanism and lock. As we move to the dash area, your vehicle is equipped with an airbag, a supplemental restraint system. Do not mount anything within the area of that airbag. Just to the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper, and then also a portable radio charging system. As we move just left to the dash area, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and also USB. And there are also additional wires behind this area. You can see by the warning of the red candy cane style sticker. On the left, you have all of your activation buttons for your air horn, mechanical siren, and rumbler. Behind the seat is where you'll find the module for your rumbler. As we look overhead in the space over the officer's area, push on and off red and white lights. You'll also find your unit radio in the forward section, a switch panel which will house the emergency master, electronic siren, AM/FM radio, driver scene, and then also passenger scene. When any of these switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate, indicating the switch is active. Let's take a look at the ladder rack now. You've got a 24-foot extension and a 14-foot roof. Underneath, a 10-foot folding attic ladder, and then also long tool-handled storage above the rack. Let's go ahead and move up into the dunnage area of the vehicle. First, let's start at the cab. There are 2 warning stickers located on the front section of the cab. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these warning labels in this area. Let's go ahead and move back to the dunnage area where you'll find your master stream device and then also an extend so you can raise the master stream device above the elevated level of the cab. To the right, you'll find your booster line. There is a tension and also manual rewind. Your Husky 3 foam system reservoir. This is the fill location for that. As we move just to the rear of the dunnage, you'll find your top fill location for water. And then just to the right, you'll find the top fill location for foam tank A. There is a warning label here. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Once again, close up of the water tank. And let's go ahead and take a look with the hose bed cover in the stored position. You will find an additional storage on the top, accessible via the rear. Let's go ahead and look at the hose bed area. Hose bed dividers, there are 4. And as we move underneath the vehicle, you'll find your tire chains. Congratulations, Richland Fire Department, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35070. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.